Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Love, Death, and Robots, Season 3. So, as always, I'm going to give it the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off the furry, this is a Love, Death, and Robots show, so there's definitely a lot of furry. There's definitely a lot of rats for you rat fans, and bears, and some other stuff. A lot of insectoidy seeing things. So, if you're a fan of those sort of things, you're going to get a lot of that this season. Alrighty. So, moving on to the good and the bad. Hopefully you've seen the first two seasons. It's not necessarily going to spoil there's not actually a storyline, so to speak. I will say that this is the first time that I can remember that there was actually like a continuation from one of the last seasons. It was one of the last episodes, and they had the same characters in this one. I think that you'll appreciate the episode more if you've seen the season 2 version of it, or maybe a season 1, but I don't think it'll like ruin your experience if you haven't seen those. And it's not like going to give away anything from doing it that way. What I will say is that, once again, this season kind of disappointed me. So, season 1, there was lots of violence and lots of nudity. And in season 2, they basically did everything they could to try and hide all the nudity as much as possible, but they leaned into the violence. And this one, I felt like they did both of those things even more so. So, out of this entire season, there was one of the 2D animated episodes had some dude with his dick out who was like peeing all crazy like. And then there was even like a lovemaking scene between a male and a female character. And once again in this one, they're like, oh, let me just put the camera angle to hide my boobs as we make love and not see anything below there. Like, all right. But then, like, every episode, every episode was just as gory as possible. And don't get me wrong, like, I appreciate that they were willing to have gore, especially in the first season and then the second season, but, like, I like to have gore and nudity in my rated R stuff. You know what I mean? Like this one, I don't want to say it felt gratuitous because I don't want to be one of those people who's like, you put too much violence in my violent animes. So I don't want to do that. But I did feel like that with how much more graphic and how just continuing and how much and how in every episode there was that graphic level of violence, the fact that they shied even more away from the nudity just kind of pissed me off. So yeah. The animation still is good. I did feel like they also lost a bit of the whimsy in it. So the only one that I would say had any sort of whimsy in it was Pulse of the Machine, and it still had a bit more of a body horror, a bit more of that. And it did have some beautiful stuff in it, but I would have liked a little bit more whimsy. Like, I think that the closest thing to whimsy in this was the zombie one, just because of the, like, miniature style that it was shot in. But I would have liked to have a little bit more lighthearted or just something different, because the animation they did mostly 3D, and it was really good 3D. Don't get me wrong, like I could even see in one of the episodes I was like, oh, that's voiced by a famous person that I know, and oh, look at that, that's also voiced by a famous person I know, and they almost look like those characters, but also not off enough to be in the uncanny valley, but just like. So that was nice. So they did really good quality. Like this, they've upped their game even more. But that made me even sadder that they haven't continued with the more stylized 2D animation that they had in the season 1. They did have some stylized, or at least some, I don't know, cel-shaded is the right word, but cel-shade-esque animated. But again, I would have liked a little bit more adventure in the style, but maybe this was more of a callback season in some cases, because I know that the last episode was definitely reminiscent of the style of one of the, I think it was season 1 episodes. It had to have been season 1 because there's nudity in it, and I thought that like I did like that person's style. I didn't like the storyline of season 3's episode with that style as much, but you know, there was some where I was like, okay, they're using the same artists from past seasons to do some of these. And I thought that was neat. But again, I would have liked a little bit more whimsy in a couple episodes, a little bit more lightheartedness, and just something to justify some of the graphic level of violence. But you know, graphic level of violence is not bad in and of itself for this show, for this season. So I think overall I'm going to give it a thumbs down because of how good the first season was, and how I feel like season 1 was up here, season 2 was down here, and season 3 was down here. So I feel like it's trending downward in quality and in writing and just how much I like it. But I think that if you haven't seen the first ones, or if you really like the second one even more than the third, or sorry, if you like the second one even more than the first one, then you'd probably give this one a thumbs up. So go in there with that mindset. And because of how beautiful these are, you know, try and watch it on bigger screen if you can. Alrighty, that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.